Good morning, Rabbi Rabotai. We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, Hilchot Tefillin, and we're in the middle of Siman Mem on Daf Samech Tet Amud Aleph of Dafei Mishna Berurah, the regular print of Mishna Berurah by Seif Gimal. Ran writes, "Afilu le'aniach bikli toch keli asur le'anicham tachat meraglotav." We spoke about respect of tefillin, and we mentioned that if it's exposed to erva, if it's in a room of husband and wife, it has to be with kli toch kli, a double cover, a double wrap. And Maran writes here, even that does not work if you want to put it under your legs or under your head. Oftentimes people who, especially they're sleeping in a place that's on the way, in the middle of the sleep, they don't want something that's precious to be stolen and so on and so forth. They just have to put it under their pillow. This way, if someone wants to grab it and steal it from them, they'll wake up and so on. Again, this is things that you don't appreciate until you're living that type of a life in that type of scenarios and situations. But nevertheless, Maran writes, if you're putting it under your leg or even under your pillow, under your head, that is considered bizayon, a disrespect to the tefillin, so much so that even if you have it double wrapped, still it will be asur. Afilu, says Maran, bekli toch kli, even if it's double in double kli, but afilu eni shto imo, it has nothing to do with his wife being there, not being there. Aval shelo keneged rosho im eni shto imo mutar. If it's not keneged rosho, if it's under the other end of pillow, it's a large pillow, and it's not under where his head is now or is going to be in the middle of the night rolling around, then it would be mutar. And then if it's in a situation that you otherwise would have needed kli b'toch kli, of course that does not change. Now it's very interesting to note that Ben Ish Chai writes in Od Yosef Chai in Parashat Hayei Sarah that a minhag that many had and many still have, that a woman that's giving birth, they come and put a Sefer Tehillim or Noam Elimelech or whatever is Segula, that we are Am Segula, we believe in this this thing. Put a Sefer under her pillow for an easy delivery. That would be Asur. Or you have a Tinok, a newborn that's born. People take one of these small Tehillims or big Tehillims, and they, even though that it has a cover, maybe they put it under the pillow under the head of the baby for protection, or that the child should become tzaddik or whatnot. Well, it's not such a great chinuch. We're starting against the Shulchan Aruch. The Ben Ish Chai writes that is included in this, not just the tefillin, but rather any sefer, even if it's print, says the Ben Ish Chai, of what we have available to us, still would be considered a davar shebikdusha, and you should not be disrespecting it by putting it under your pillow, under your head. Says the Mishna Berurah, mutar afilu shelo bekli klal rak shemanichan beinyan shelo yitgalgelu misham letzadin. If you're putting it under a large pillow on the other end of the pillow, then it's mutar, even if it's not covered, so long as you know that they're not going to fall, they're not going to be under your head when you roll around at night, and so on and so forth, then of course would be fine, and that's not going to be asur. Maran writes in Sif Dalet, ishto imo b'mitav eino rotze leshamesh bikli ein ishto imo. If a person is not, even if it's a room of a husband and wife, if they're not together, that's not considered ishto imo. It's not considered a room halachically of a husband and wife, and that would be mutar. So if hey Maran writes, now if you put it, you're lying down and you're on your side, as the halacha actually has it, that it should be, not prakdan, but the tefillin you put next to your body, not under your body, it's not under your legs, still says Maran is asur, because during the night you may roll and end up being on top of the tefillin, which is disrespectful. So therefore, la hanicham b'mita keneged tzido, dinan ketachad meraglotav, and that would be asur. It's equivalent of putting it under your legs. In Seif Vav, Maran writes, Mishna Berurah in Seif, he explains, sometimes you roll around and you end up sleeping on them. And then the Mishna Berurah brings a very interesting discussion. If you pay attention to old shuls, that they didn't have desks that people store things. You see in a regular shul nowadays that they have the tables in front. Many people leave their sidur and talits and tefillins, the talit bag, as you see over here, on the table, they leave. That's how they store it, basically. So if you didn't have tables, which is like the old shuls, they didn't have, it was benches, safsalim, and many times the front had like a swinging stender for putting your sidur there, and oftentimes you didn't even have that. So where did you have this sidur? So this is actually something that happens to be still relevant. Many of them had, and I saw this in Europe, they still have some of the shuls like this, that the seat, the actual seat, it's a storage. You pick it up and the base of the seat, the base of the chair is basically an empty box that you put your stuff inside. You put your whole talit bag and your sidur, whatever you need to store, you put it there. Nowadays, you have also chairs that they are sold, especially some companies that are made for this. Like, I think it's called church furniture or whatnot, and they come with not a cubby but a shelf underneath the seat that's built in. The seat basically has a piece of metal rack that is made for putting svarim or books, whatever it is, under the seat. So every chair basically is self-sufficient, coming with a cubby with a storage underneath can you sit on that seat if there's a chumash there? Can you sit on that seat that the Mishna Berurah is speaking when you have a storage and your talit and tefillin are on the bottom? Says the Mishna Berurah, ספסלים שבבית הכנסת שתחת הספסלים יש תיבה להשניע שם טלית ותפילין. If you have this storage and your talit and tefillin are there, יש אומרים לאסור לשב על הספסלים ויש מתירים. Those who say it's מחלוקת, those who say is asur to sit on them, those who say it's mutar. The Kaf HaChaim writes, b'shat hadacha, push comes to Shav, you have no other way of doing it. You go to one of these shuls, I don't know which one is which, all of them have a talit and tefillin underneath. Can you sit on it? And says the Kaf HaChaim, again, push comes to Shav, b'shat dachak, a person could rely on the somech ala matirim lo yifsid, he writes. If you rely on the lenient poskim, you haven't lost much. You have what to rely on. But he says in a place that there is minhag, there's been a clear minhag to do it that way. You don't have to stop them. You don't have to yell at them. Chacham also writes the same thing. So both of them seem to not be happy with it. But I say if there's a minhag to do it like that, so then en nimchot biyadam. Now, the difference that this has between our case and the case that the Mishna Berurah mentions right now is the next piece of Mishna Berurah. The next piece of Mishna Berurah, it says, if you have one tefach between them, here, אבל כשיש חלל טפח בהתבה פנוי, מותר ודאי לשב על הספסלים. If these storage, so to speak, under the seat is deep enough that when you are done putting your talit and tefillin, still there is a tefach, 8 to 10 centimeters of empty air between the seat where you're sitting and the tefillin, then for sure is mutar. Says, which is oftentimes the case. ובעל נפש ראוי לו להחמיר שלא במקום הדחק גם בזה. בעל נפש, ירא שמיים, should even be מחמיר on this, not to sit on a chair that underneath it is stored tefillin, even if you have this tefach, if possible. Now, this you for sure do not have with the chairs that I mentioned, that they have the storage built right underneath them with like a metal rack. So that, of course, you don't have a tefach, normally speaking, so that would become even more of an issue to sit on it when there's a chumash or talit and tefillin stored right beneath them.
What about a backrest? You know how some of the chairs.
Backrest is fine. You're not sitting on anything.
You're sitting on the chair and it's on
That's fine. It's fine. Because again, it has a pocket at the back of the chair. And you're talking about the pocket storage. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Says the Shulchan Aruch in Seif Vav, Shachach v'shimesh mitato bitfilin. If you forgot and you were meshamesh, you know, a person started a tashmish hamita with having tefillin. Again, yeah, we don't appreciate this, how normal could it become for a person when you walk with tefillin the whole day. You know, someone was telling me that they went to the old yeshuv, old city, where they have the Zilberman people. And Zilberman, they try to follow the chazals that they, you know, their kids, they're learning every day, even on Shabbat. And also they learn with tefillin the whole day. So you see on their breaks, the Zilberman kids are playing soccer with their tefillin. So it's the first time one of my friends saw this, he was shaken to his core. So how can you play, you know, how can you play with having tefillin on, right? But again, when you, back in the day when they had tefillin, a 13-year-old already had tefillin. As long as you're careful with the kavod of the tefillin and you're not being mebazeh, even if you're engaged in some game or some whatever, they had the tefillin on. So again, it comes to us as a surprise. So we don't.
What is Zilberman?
Zilberman is a system of education trying to copy what Chazal set up as a system of education. A 5-year-old starts mastering the Chumash and Tanakh. A 10-year-old starts mastering everything Balpeh, everything by heart. Mastering Mishnayot. By 15 already, they know Mishnayot by heart. Sometimes it's hard to speak to one of these kids because they know everything by heart. And again, that's the good ones, at least the more talented ones. You know, they could accomplish tremendous amounts because they're learning 7 days a week, the entire day. You know, they're not taking off. It's tremendous, but not for everyone. Again, well understood. But it's a community almost of Zilberman people that live there. But nevertheless, again, a person could come to not realize and be with his wife. And in the middle, you realize, oh, you have tefillin on. Says the Shulchan Aruch, lo yechoz lo b'batim v'lo b'retzuot ad she'itol liadav. You should not touch the retzuot or the batim until you go do netilat yadayim. Mipnei shehayadayim atzkaniyot and l'shema nag'u b'makom tinofet. Because your hands may have been dirty, touching your body in places that are full of sweat and dirtiness. So therefore, you wash your hands at the time first before you take off the tefillin.
Rabbi, isn't that practically impossible? Because whenever you're playing soccer or something, their thing will for sure move to the side. They have to adjust the back.
I don't know. I haven't seen it myself. I could imagine the case that they would not need to. It depends on how much movement there is involved. I'm not sure. Okay, again. Fine. So says Seif Zayin. That's correct. Yeah. That's correct. That's correct. Yeah. No, wash it methodically. Again, some of the people is, of course, when you roll up your sleeve to put on tefillin, by itself you're touching the places. So that already Chazal have given an exception, but even there, many Hasidim and Anshe Masa, you will find after they put on the tefillin and everything, you'll see them. You know, I had a zocher to learn with a tremendous Talmid Chacham and Makubal back in 1998, 99 in Vienna, and he would every morning when he put on tefillin, even though that he had taken a shower and went to mikvah before shaharit, but he would put on tefillin. He would say his the pasuk for putting it on. Then he would go to the sink, he would open this area until here, he would wash the second time and put it back on, and then he started his tefillah. In order to be machmir, that even though the Chazal gave an exception to that, but he was careful. So Yashen Bahem Ra Keri. Imagine Chas v'Shalom, someone forgot and he fell asleep with tefillin on, and lo and behold, he became a Keri Chas v'Shalom. Right? It's amazing when it works out together that you have Amud Yomi working together with Mishna Berurah Yomi. That's just unbelievable. It's a kiss on the forehead from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So says the Shulchan Aruch, if you have a case like that, lo yechos b'batim, ela yechos b'rtzuot u'mesir otam. So then you are tamet tumat keri. There's no washing with dying. You have to go wash yourself. Go to mikveh perhaps and so on, depending on what shita you're passing like before you daven. So that he says, don't touch the batim. Try to take them off with the ritzuot alone, and that would suffice until you go and wash off the keri that's on the person. At least you do, even though that in Siman Pehet, Maran paskins that nowadays we don't do Tevilat Ezra, but nevertheless you have to wash off and take off every last bit of zera that's on him, and also doing it Tilat Yadayim. So therefore you take it off with the ritzuot prior to cleaning off. Says the Mishna Berurah, in this case, we're not worried that your hands are dirty because your hands did not touch anything necessarily. The body, became tameh because of emission, because of something else. Therefore, here we're more lenient to be able to still be allowed to take them off with the ritzuah. Okay. But afterwards, you could put them on, even though that you are still tameh. You could put on tefillin while being still in tumat keri. And Kaf HaChaim, of course, says that if a person could go to mikveh before you put on your tefillin and become tahor from keri, that's exactly what you should be doing, and only afterwards put on tefillin again.
Okay. Didn't we see last week that if we take off the tefillin, you can't have the thing hanging?
Yes.
So taking it out with the strap.
Yeah. So we also mentioned that there's leniency for putting them on and taking them off. But here again, we say that it's more disrespectful to touch it with tumah than to take it off. That's good. That's good. That's good. Again, if you have a talit and you can take it off with talit, that would be the better option of all above mentioned. So that's Seif Zayin, and one more Seif we do, Seif Het, Hanichnas Lisudat Keva Cholzanu Manichan Ala Shulchan. If you are entering a proper suda, you're sitting to eat, washing and sitting around with people to eat a sudat keva, not just snacking, but you're sitting to eat suda, then you can't eat with tefillin. Cannot eat with tefillin. You have to take them off. You put them on the shulchan until you say you eat your food, and then your time for Birkat Hamazon. Then you put them back on, and you say the bracha with the tefillin. But la'achilat arai en tzarich lachosan. For just eating a little bit achilat arai, you don't have to take them off, and you could just eat achilat arai with tefillin, which is again something that has to be discussed a little bit more. The Mishna Berurah says we have to take them off. We are choshesh that you're gonna, drink a little bit and get drunk and then act inappropriately for having tefillin on. Therefore, as sudat keva, which people usually used to drink alcoholic beverages in a sudat keva, we don't want to allow that while risking the tefillin being mitpazeh with the guy becoming drunk and acting inappropriately. Ala shulchan kadesh yu mezumanin lo lachzor alechan. Why you have to put it on the shulchan? Because you want it to be right next to you. That the minute you're done, you can put it back on. And in Sefer Shulchan Shlomo brings Mishna Berurah, it's mistapek that maybe this is for someone that puts on tefillin the entire day. That person could eat achilat arai with tefillin. They could snack with tefillin on. But a person that doesn't put on tefillin the whole day, just puts it for shaharit and takes it off, yalla, maybe learns a few minutes of Israel afterwards. That says Shulchan Shlomo, maybe Chazal never were matir, because that's also bizayon. Well, if you're wearing tefillin the whole day, you can't tell, okay, take off, put on, take off, put it on. Every 5 minutes you're taking off, already you have to take it off for every time that you need to go to the bathroom, for every time there's passing gas. It's already difficult enough. So they will give you a leniency maybe. But maybe, just maybe, if a person puts on tefillin only for 1 hour, so take them off and then eat your cereal for breakfast or your mensch bakery pastry, in the morning when you want to learn with your chavruta, take them off before you do it. That's what he wants to suggest. Is mesupak? He's not sure. And on this, really, the poskim nowadays, they debate back and forth. That many of them say that nowadays it would be mutar, even for people who are putting it just for shaharit, and they are medayek from the fact that Shulchan Aruch does not differentiate. You don't see Maran saying, well, this is only for those days that they would put it the whole day. Tam Maran, they did not put it the whole day. And yet Maran does not differentiate. So they say, you see from here that it's not really changed the halacha. Even nowadays, you could put it on, have it on rather, and have a snack, have a little coffee, have a little pastry. When you want to sit and learn after shaharit with your chavruta, that's completely fine. And that's what Rabbi Yosef brings in Mishna Berurah. And that's basically generally accepted halacha. But you will find some people that shum often they would not speak a word of divrei chol, and they would not eat or drink with tefillin on, as being mahmir for this Shulchan Shlomo that we just mentioned in the Mishna Berurah. They hold that we put it on for 1 hour. 1 hour you could survive without eating and drinking, without talking divrei chol, and therefore they are extremely mindful of that while having tefillin on. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll discuss what is considered achilat arai, achilat keva in the days to come. We'll continue and start Siman Mem Aleph in Mirtzah Hashem, Baruch HaNoten Chaim, tomorrow morning.